So Ed, I'm so excited that you're here. You're basically the most popular character in my class. We analyze a lot of office videos.
Oh, wow. Like how not to run a business.
Yes. Yes. And how not to interview for a job. And how not to pretend to help your coworkers. And there's a long list of Andy Bernard offenses.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, I am not Andy Bernard. I mean, I play Andy Bernard, but I'm a different person than that. I hope I can convince you of that today.
We know you for your successes, but I can only imagine your life was full of failures for you to be so into Snafus.
Never failed. Next question. It's like no one realized you can do that. You can just pass on a question. Pass. And then the reporter's like, okay. Next question. So
I love this.
That's my new trick. And I also recommend it in job interviews.
I was just wondering.
It's a total power move. Someone's like, tell me about yourself. Pass. And the boss is like, wow, that took a lot of guts. But no, to answer your question, where do I start with my own snafus? Show business is just a festival of failure, truly. And then I started in stand-up comedy, which is just punishment. In order to get anywhere with stand-up comedy, you really have to learn to love bombing and love failing and sort of see it as like just building your calluses, building your toughness as a performer. As freshmen, you come in and you're wide-eyed and terrified. And what you learn from the older kids is that love of bombing because you're getting off after a terrible set or someone heckled you and got the best of you, and you come back off stage and you're mortified and they're high-fiving you.
Congratulations, you sucked.
Yeah. No, truly. Strong bonds are forged in pain, right? In shared experiences that are difficult. And there are obviously so many horrible examples of that throughout history, but comedy clubs is a fascinating little microcosm of that too.
Okay, so I want to talk about building those calluses. First, tell us about the worst stand-up bomb you ever had.
Okay, so there are so many, but probably one of the biggest ones. There's this big comedy club out on Long Island in Levittown called Governors, and that was like Jerry Seinfeld came up through there, and a lot of big comedians routinely played there. It was a huge room, and they packed people in, and it was like a very different vibe. It's very Long Island. It's very different than New York City. So I got one of my first opportunities to middle there, which means like to do the 30-minute set before the headliner. I'd never done a 30-minute set, and I didn't really have 30 minutes of like reliable material. I get up there right out of the gate. I'm struggling. Somebody starts to heckle me, and I just threw back the lamest response, like, who's this guy, a brain surgeon? And there's like a big laugh around him. And this buddy's like, he is a brain surgeon. He's literally a brain surgeon. And at that point, like, I just lost. The crowd won.
Neurosurgeons are the worst hecklers of all the surgeons, I'm told by my cousin who's a neurosurgeon. What goes through your mind? What do you feel coming off stage, having just flopped that badly?
You kind of try to train yourself to love bombing and to sort of value that experience. But there are times where it's undeniably brutal and undeniably painful. And especially in a situation like that where I'm the outsider, I'm the visitor, and I have not established any credibility in this space. It's devastating. I think it's the physical feeling of it that's so hard. Like it's pain. It feels like physical pain.
When are those low expectations helpful though?
Both of those instances, I didn't feel prepared. But when you feel like you've done the legwork and the homework and the preparation and you've put in the hours, and no one knows who you are, and you've got killer jokes in the chamber, like ready to fire, that's when it's an advantage to not be known. Yeah, it wasn't confidence. It was just a belief that I was doing the thing that I was was like put here to do, weirdly. And so that sort of allowed me to punch through some really difficult times. And again, I really could rely on the community. I always tell people that are like, how do you get into comedy? Like, how do you break into these spaces, or any kind of showbiz thing, which I think to a lot of people who want to be in show business feels insurmountable or terrifying. I always just say, like, start by finding your cohort. Surround yourself with people who agree that what you want is awesome. Because otherwise, especially if your aspirations are a little bit out there or unusual, or thing you want to do is not widely considered to be like a great career move, you're going to get so much resistance. And it's just friction. It's not even necessarily people telling you you're making a bad choice. It's just people sort of like, it's those little things like, you want to, that's what you want to do? But when you're surrounded by, when I was with my comedian friends, it was like, there was no question we were all sort of doing the right thing. And that is so galvanizing and such an important way to find support.
So it sounds like you're talking about people sort of mildly judging your career path.
Yeah, or just telling you you're an idiot. Especially, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. Nobody knew a comedian. Nobody knew an actor. Because I knew that I would just get laughed at or eye rolls or kind of like, good luck, buddy. And that stuff is awful.
When did you know that this was what you wanted to do?
Early. 8 or 9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it that
It
that
was
hooked you?
It was Saturday Night Live, which is, I think, a lot of comedians' answer. But I didn't understand it, but I just loved the energy of it. There was something about that live show with like the audience, and Eddie Murphy was on at the time when I was a kid, and I loved him. He was like everything I wanted to be. He was so spontaneous. He was so present. And I could tell, you know what it was? I looked at him and I was like, he's having fun. He's having so much fun. And I want that fun.
I once made the mistake of doing a cameo on a TV show called Billions. And it was the most boring day of my life.
Oh, yeah.
Like 7.5 hours of retaking a 2.5-minute scene.
Yeah.
And you're on take 23 and you're like, I don't even think even the director can see a difference at this point. Like, we could have shot the whole season in the time you're wasting. You don't have any of the audience energy. You don't have any sense of, like, I'm growing, I'm connecting with other people, I'm producing entertainment. Like, they're going to see it months later.
Yeah.
How in the world does somebody who, like, got such a rush out of doing stand-up comedy could you ever want to be in a TV show or movie? What is wrong with you, Ed Helms?
I'm usually asking directors for more takes because I just love to explore and think about, like, is this as funny as it can be? Is there another bit of like top spin I can put on this, or a little bit of like a side angle? And I'm constantly changing my takes, take to take. I see like endless novelty in it.
Wow.
And that is such a thrill. I try to bring that like pursuit of comedic perfection, which is completely unattainable. But that's the fun.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about The Office.
Sure.
What were your biggest lessons from being on the greatest show of its time?
This is a little bit of a cheesy answer, but I was so proud to be given the line in the very last episode of the series. I wish there was some way to know you're in the good old days while you're actually in them. And I just got chills saying that because I did know, working on that show, that I was in something so special. Those are the good old days. It's like the lesson is to just like love the mundane if you're in a good place, like cherish the mundane, because that's where nostalgia is built. It's not built in the big moments. It's built in the small moments.
I was reading some research on this recently about how mindfulness is the opposite of flow.
Interesting.
Where when you're in a mindful state, you're fully kind of aware of the situation.
Yes.
And when you're in a flow state, you're so deeply absorbed that you're not attuned to the fact that you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I think by definition, right, if you start to become aware, you start to like evaluate and analyze, and you lose the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a bad thing.
No, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Okay, so let's talk about some snafus that you've been fascinated by. What's your favorite snafu from the book?
There's one that stands out because it is so crazy, and that is in the 1950s, the Cold War was getting, very intense, and the United States really wanted to flex nuclear muscle. And there was very much an arms race with nuclear development. And so someone hatched the idea, let's shoot the moon with a nuclear missile. And the logic was, everyone can see the moon. So if we hit it with a nuclear missile, it'll just be this yeah, check this out, Soviet Union. Look what we did to the moon. We can do that to you too. And a lot of time and money and resources went into this. Carl Sagan worked on this. And he loves planets, right? He was right out of grad school. This is a true story. He was very young and he worked on this. The only reason this whole thing was uncovered is because one of Carl Sagan's biographers found a fellowship application that he had filled out at the time, and he had put this project on the fellowship application. And they were like, okay, I'm going to table my Carl Sagan research and go into this for a minute. They eventually realized that this is a terrible idea because any miscalculation or malfunction of the rocket could very easily miss the moon, be slingshotted around the gravitational field of the moon, and just come right back to Earth. And they decided not to do it. Thank God. That's like Wile E. Coyote.
Can't believe that happened.
Yes, it's crazy.
I'm curious about the bigger lessons that you've learned from, 3 seasons of the podcast, from writing the book, about how to prevent a snafu or how to clean one up. For me, the most obvious lesson is so often these things happen because groups polarize and then fall victim to groupthink, and
yes.
They get overconfident and they don't have enough dissent and they don't question themselves and they end up on a path that they shouldn't be on.
Absolutely.
Surely there's more to them than that. What else have you found to be common patterns?
That's the biggest one. What you just said, the enclosed bubble of groupthink, especially when you get back into the 50s and 60s, there are clearly no women involved in some of these decisions. That, of course, contributes to a very siloed set of values and opinions. And I think...
Are you suggesting that women are smarter than men, Ed?
No, I'm stating that as a fact. Also, the sort of power of fear, both as a motivator to action and a motivator to often terrible judgment. Sometimes amazing judgment.
Okay, we have some more audience questions that we haven't covered yet.
Heck yeah.
Okay. We'll do some of these lightning style rapid fire. If Andy Bernard had a spin-off show, what would it be called and what would he be doing now?
It'd be called Andy Time. And he would be the dean of admissions at Cornell. Or no, he would not be the dean of admissions. He would be like a staffer in the admissions office.
Aspiring to one day.
Aspiring dean, yeah.
Who do you identify with more, Andy Bernard or Stuart Price?
Andy, for sure. Yeah. I mean, they're both departures from me, but there's a lot of me in both. But I think Andy is a guy with very few tools to deal with the feelings that I have. I relate to some of the thoughts and feelings and internal battles that Andy has, but I like to think I have a little bit better set of tools and I have a higher emotional intelligence than Andy, but I relate to some of his expressions of insecurity for sure.
Wow. What's your favorite Office episode?
This will probably surprise no one, but Dinner Party it was some of the hardest laughs I've ever had was shooting that episode.
Favorite scene?
My favorite moment is when Steve is showing us how his flat screen TV is adjustable and it moves 2 inches. And he's so proud of that. And we must have done 500 takes of that because none of us could get through it. It just was so dumb and so funny.
Love it. Okay, did you actually do a cappella in college?
Yes, I was in the Oberlin Obertones for 2 semesters, and I learned something very valuable, which is that a cappella music is unbelievably fun to do, and and very painful to endure or watch or consume.
This one I thought was highly amusing. The question is, do you have it written into your acting contracts that you have to sing at least once per performance?
No, it's not in any of my contracts, and I just force it in there. And it's not welcome most of the time. And I get a lot of pushback, and I don't give a fuck.
Was there a moment in your career when you thought, yep, I've made it, or has that never really happened?
There are definitely moments of celebration, like in a production like The Office or the Hangover movies, like there are these kind of built-in moments of celebration. You have premieres, you have these kind of big events that feel kind of like milestones. And I think there are some heady moments during some of those times where you feel like this is incredible. I feel, but it's very fleeting. And in show business, like no one's stock is really permanent in any way. So I think, I don't know, there's kind of this beautiful constant pursuit.
How do you deal with people expecting you to be funny all the time?
I am funny all the time. I just be funny all the time. Different moments have different expectations, and I try to surround myself with people who know me and appreciate. I mean, like, in terms of like my friends and family, they know that I can be a really serious, boring dude, and that's okay.
How do you think about what success means at this point in your career?
This is super cheesy, but I think of it now as I have kids, and I think of it as like, how is this something that I can be proud of as a parent? Like, when my kids can be proud of and look at as they get older, see me putting my heart into things that value. And by the way, value is measured in 1,000 different ways, but it's something, I don't know, it's like, you know it in your gut if it's worthwhile. And all the markers of success, the money or the adulation, and certainly in show business, fame is a big sort of metric. They start to lose meaning at a certain point because they don't make you a better dad. They don't make you a better brother or family member or friend. And those are the things that matter.
Why is that cheesy?
Because it's about feelings. and I was raised in the South, and we don't talk about feelings.
So Ed, we've got a lot of people here who I think are afraid to fail. We've been talking this whole conversation about the value of failure. What would your advice be about how to confront the next snafu that we all face?
Going back to what I was talking about earlier about finding kind of your people, or finding the people that will think what you're doing is awesome, no matter what, whether you're succeeding or failing in the moment. Part of that is how are you reacting to your peers' failures? What culture are you helping to build around you? So you're not necessarily, it's not necessarily like how do I handle my own failures? It's like, what sort of soup am I swimming in and contributing to? Like, is this a yummy vegetable soup and I'm like a delicious carrot, or am I just like a gross cockroach that got thrown into this soup? And because the right people, the right community, the right sort of vibe, failure just won't be so catastrophic. It won't feel so catastrophic.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. Woo!